Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief.
16,193 Israelis and counting have now been diagnosed with the coronavirus, just over 40 new cases within the last 24 hours, which is great news because it's the lowest increase of infections since March, and that means that the infection rate in Israel is continuing its downward trend. The death toll has risen to 230 people, though, and as we speak, 103 patients are in severe condition, 82 of whom are on ventilators. But almost 10,000 Israelis have now recovered, and the Israeli cabinet is meeting today to discuss easing regulations even further. The finance ministry has allegedly drawn up a 4-step plan for reopening the economy. In the first step, malls and outdoor markets would reopen and Palestinian workers from the West Bank would be allowed to return to construction jobs in Israel. The second step would allow for group classes, community centers, nature preserves, and museums to open up again, and for non-medical health treatments like physiotherapy to be given. Then the third step would be to reopen movie theaters, theaters for plays, essential flights, fitness centers, auditoriums, restaurants, and bars. And finally, last but not least, nightclubs, swimming pools, water parks, and amusement parks would be open to the public. This outline is still under discussion and doesn't include any specific dates, so for now, locals can just keep on dreaming. 80% of state elementary schools have now opened in Israel this morning after being given the green light on Friday to bring back the kids. Students in 1st through 3rd grades have been given a festive welcome while observing health regulations, of course. But despite the go-ahead, numerous cities and local authorities say that they're going to delay a return to classrooms amidst growing dissatisfaction over the government's handling of the matter. Right now, students are only allowed to go to school in groups of 15 and to maintain social distancing, and those above 3rd grade must continue with remote learning. But many are concerned about the unclear hygiene rules in place in cities like Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Haifa, Beersheva, Ramat HaSharon, and Bnei Brak. Israel's Arab community will also not reopen schools whatsoever this week. Thousands of self-employed Israelis and small business owners have now taken to the streets to demand that their government provide them more support amidst the economic crisis caused by the coronavirus.
We need the government to provide us with a little bit of money so we can start the business again. And the government doesn't want to do that. This is why we are here today.
Protesters are demanding 100% compensation and are blasting the government for failing to provide unemployment benefits for the self-employed. So far, Israel has granted the self-employed a 6,000 shekel payment to help weather the pandemic, and has approved a plan last week to include a second stipend equaling 70% of their regular income, up to a maximum amount of 10,500 shekels. But the stipends are taking time to reach the bank accounts of many who are living paycheck to paycheck. And so far, out of the 80 billion shekel government package to support the economy, only 4.6 billion has actually gone to small businesses, with only 14,500 applications out of almost 50,000 being approved. Small business owners say that most of the funds are going to larger companies, which can more easily secure loans from banks. And right now, the unemployment rate in Israel is at 27%, with over 1.2 million people out of work. Economists believe it will take a year or more for Israel's economy to recover from this crisis. For the first time in Israel's history, the High Court of Justice is broadcasting live as 11 justices deliberate on the fate of the emergency unity government. The deadline to form this coalition between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Knesset Speaker Benny Gantz is days away, and there's a lot left to get done to make it happen. Israel's basic laws must be amended to even allow for this deal. The basic laws addressing these issues has been filed in one bill, though, which has since passed its first reading in the Knesset. The second and third readings will be heard this week. But first, the judges must address the 8 separate petitions filed in the High Court against the emergency unity, which falls around 3 basic questions. One is whether the coalition agreement signed by the Likud and the Blue and White parties is legal. Second, is the bill to change Israel's basic laws constitutional? And third, can Netanyahu be prime minister while under indictment for criminal charges? Now, if the bill to change the basic laws passes, and if the High Court strikes down these 8 petitions, then Israel will be looking at its first ever emergency rotational government. If any of the petitions succeed, however, or if the bill in the Knesset fails to pass, then it's back to 4th elections, and the court will file its final decision within 48 hours.
That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.